AI philosophy, enabling humans to establish destiny for themselves and establish a mind for AI. Three major ethical perspectives in Western philosophy: Aristotle's virtue ethics, Bentham's utilitarianism, and Kant's deontology. Bentham's utilitarianism holds that the morality of an action is determined by its consequences, centered on the greatest happiness principle. Kant, by contrast, stresses the purity of moral motivation rather than outcomes. Moral acts stem from pure reason and abide by absolute moral laws known as the categorical imperative. Aristotle's virtue ethics prioritizes practical conduct over motives or consequences. Mere observation and empty words without practice are meaningless. Click the plus sign to follow this account for more fascinating content. Three representative ethical frameworks dominate Western philosophy: virtue ethics pioneered by Aristotle, utilitarianism founded by Jeremy Bentham 1748-1832, and deontology proposed by Kant. Bentham's utilitarianism, an outcome-based ethical theory, judges whether an action is right or wrong solely by its consequences, rather than the action itself or its underlying motives. Its core tenet is the greatest happiness principle, which states that the sole criterion for evaluating conduct is whether it generates maximum utility of happiness, the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Bentham argued that all human actions are driven by the pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain, humanity's fundamental incentives. He defined utility as the total pleasure produced by an action minus its total pain. An act carries moral worth if it augments happiness and reduces suffering, and vice versa. Utilitarianism takes human well-being as the foundation of morality, yet Kant disagreed fundamentally. He rejected the equation of morality with happiness or pleasure and developed deontology, grounding moral conduct in reason and freedom. For Kant, reason is a distinct human faculty, and morality consists of active, rational choices that embody human dignity. The purpose of morality is not to grant people happiness, but to make them worthy of happiness. Moral actions must spring from pure reason and comply with unconditional moral laws, independent of external consequences or personal interests. Hence, Kant formulated the categorical imperative, an inviolable principle requiring agents to assess whether their maxim could function as a universal law binding all humanity. Extension: Kant's deontology originates from the good will, meaning pure, unselfish original motives. A good will is inherently good, valuable, regardless of self-serving gains. Kant set an extremely rigorous standard for goodwill, even ranking compassion as an inferior form of morality, for compassion often carries a sense of moral superiority, a condescending attitude toward others. Only selfless acts free of hidden agendas qualify as truly moral. This idea parallels the Taoist concept of virtue through non-action. Authentic virtue emerges spontaneously without deliberate intent. The Tao Te Ching states, "The highest virtue makes no display of virtue, hence it possesses virtue. Inferior virtue never lets go of displays of virtue, hence it lacks virtue. The highest virtue acts without ulterior motive. Inferior virtue acts with calculated intentions." Kant prioritizes motives over consequences, maintaining moral worth derives entirely from pure intentions. He condemned treating people merely as tools to serve others' ends, arguing every person ought to be valued as an end in themselves, endowed with independent personhood and free will. To use others instrumentally is to subjugate their will to one's own. This stance sharply contrasts utilitarianism, which validates conduct exclusively by its outcomes rather than intentions. Though widely debated, Kantian deontology faces criticisms. Its demand for perfectly pure motives proves overly idealistic in real practice, and detractors claim it neglects outcomes and the significance of consequentialist moral evaluation. Both utilitarianism and deontology operate on fixed, explicit rules, the greatest happiness principle for utilitarianism, and Kant's moral law for deontology. Aristotle's virtue ethics, however, contends morality cannot be reduced to formulas or abstract principles. It is best understood as practical wisdom. The ultimate moral goal is the highest good, eudaimonia. Confucian thought similarly advocates abiding in the highest good, as articulated in Times the Great Learning *. The way of great learning lies in manifesting bright virtue, drawing close to the people, and abiding in the highest good, a notion congruent with Aristotle's vision. Aristotle linked virtue, goodness, and flourishing, focusing on how to live a fulfilling life rather than merely identifying morally correct acts. He held that lasting moral character yields genuine value, and a life consistent with virtue brings true happiness. As a doctrine of practical wisdom, virtue ethics emphasizes lived practice over motives or results. Morality is neither innate nor attainable through theoretical study alone. It is cultivated through consistent practice. Empty theorizing without real action serves no purpose. In the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle wrote that moral philosophy aims to guide conduct, not merely accumulate knowledge. He proposed virtuous action resides in the mean between excess and deficiency, a concept analogous to Confucius' doctrine of the mean. To summarize, assessing the moral value of actions in daily life requires a holistic evaluation of virtuous motives, appropriate conduct, and beneficial outcomes. Motive carries primary weight. Acts stemming from malice or self-interest deserve no praise, even if they accidentally produce good results. If perfect selflessness cannot be achieved, motives should at minimum remain neutral. Second, proper conduct matters greatly. Well-intentioned actions often backfire. One ought not undertake tasks beyond one's capacity or control. When efforts still fail, one must distinguish unforeseen accidents from predictable negative consequences. Outcomes clearly destined for harm should never be pursued, and every effort must be made to secure positive results. I am Wu Huaiyu, a PhD from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and a postdoctoral fellow from Peking University, and the founder of AI Philosophy. For more detailed information, please refer to the complete version of this book. In addition to this short video, you can also click on my avatar to view more long videos.